fans? Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast. This is the first post-game show, episode 420 of the regular shows. We got a lot going on. Riz is late to join us. I got a picture of Sam in there. We want to cut right to the press conference with Coach Campbell right now. We're going to get to that, and then we'll get into the show and break it out from there. More than it didn't. There's always things to clean up, but
The other side of this, down the good running game, there's a huge disparity in yards gained versus yards given up on the ground. What does that mean? It's written short on both sides.
Yeah, well, look, yesterday, before, when I was talking about going into this game, it was, I felt like the most consistent group of all of them this week was the D-line. In those 2 days, I thought every one of those guys improved. I didn't feel like anybody took a step back in that room, and then it just carried over into this game. So they did a great job. They were disruptive. They fit the gaps. They hustled. They played hard. And there again, I mean, the easiest way to say it is we got better. I thought they both did a great job. You know, Tim driving us down the field at the end of half and coming away with that touchdown was big. And then I thought Tim Boyle had a good half too. You know, I thought he moved the ball. You know, I know we had a couple of 3-and-outs, but there was, I mean, there again, those breakdowns were in other areas. You know, and but I thought when called upon, he stepped up, made some plays.
A couple of your backup tight ends made some plays in the second half.
Yeah, look, I mean, we wanted to get certainly all those guys a look, but to see Mitchell and, you know, this was Mitchell's first game. You know, this was his first real game, so we wanted to get him, you know, 15 to 20 snaps and just get a feel of him, let him play a little bit, and Deese, you know, and then certainly Zylstra got quite a bit of a load, but it was good to see. And look, those guys can't get enough reps right now.
Thanks, guys.
Well, listen, it's big. It's hard to ignore. I would say that. It's certainly hard to ignore. But it's why we wanted to get a look at him. You know, Phip and I have been intrigued with him. You know, get a look at kickoff return, punt return, and you saw what he did in that game, in that phase. And it's hard to ignore. So it's somebody that certainly we want to see more of.
A game like today, a week like this week, to make things harder or easier when it comes to making some of these final cuts? I know you said you wanted to see some of the position battles, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, it makes it harder, but that's really a good thing. Inevitably, that means we're getting better. Our talent's getting better. Players are getting better roster-wise. That's a good thing. It's hard, and you wish you could keep all of them, but I think that means we're trending in the right direction.
What happened with their long touchdown, the 50-yarder?
Yeah, that was miscommunication in the back end.
Seemed like there was a couple of those today.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just still like a chemistry and cohesion thing being worked out with maybe some of your younger players?
I would say that's pretty accurate, you know. I would say that's pretty accurate. Open your mouth. Let's be on the same page. You know, it's something that we've desperately been working on with the older guys who are starting to get it, you know, Tracy and Elliott and those guys. And so now, we got to get the young guys to come along and start, you know, man, there's no secrets out there. We don't want secrets. Let's all be on the same page.
One guy who did well for you in the back end was Akuda.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just talk about why it was important for you to see him out there today and what kind of growth he's seen from this week? It seems like he played really well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I just think there again it goes back to he needs reps. He needs to play. No different than Will. Will needs to play a little bit outside at corner because he hadn't done a lot of it. And so I think more than anything, that's what it was about, was he's had a couple of good days, particularly on Thursday, and let's get him some more reps, some real game reps, live reps, and keep trending the right way, and I thought he did that.
What about Tom Kennedy? We asked this one, he's always making plays. Again today, what does this do for him?
I'm going to say something different than I said last time, because I think I said dependable. Is that what I said? He's very reliable. He's just reliable. That's all he is. He's reliable.
What does that mean
Well, you saw him. That's why we put him out there, the gunner and jammer, to get some looks at him. And you know, I saw a couple of them, and, you know, he got doubled a couple, and that means the other guy's got to win, you know. So I would say he didn't disappoint, but I need to go back and watch the film. But that's just, we're trying to give him every opportunity to make this team. That's what that means, because he just won't go away. That's a good thing.
Derek Barnes comes in, plays that first series, has 3 run stops. Seems like he's really finding those run bits, hitting those down aggressively. Had the special teams tackle as well. How do you see him progressing through this second game?
Yeah, I thought he got better. And that's without watching the tape, but I thought you could feel him out there. And ultimately, I think for me, that's how I wanted to come out of this game, be like, man, I want to feel 55. And I did. I felt his presence, and he just continues to grow. I do feel like he gets a little bit better every week. And there again, I mentioned he and Jefferson, just their demeanor and their attitude as it pertains to, they just feel like they've grown up, you know, and they're acting like pros. They practice like pros, and I see growth.
Dan, I know you talked a lot about getting into situational football in these preseason games. When you talk about the grit of the team, did the way that the lines played on both sides of the ball, did that kind of create that situation? I mean, did you want to see how this team could really establish itself?
Yeah, I would say that, because that's a pretty traditionally a gritty team. And so you want to know that you can go toe-to-toe with them. I think that, you know, I think we wanted to see if we could establish that on both sides of the ball. You know, we had a pretty good idea they would try to run it, and that's kind of what they do, or at least it starts there, and that's who we want to be. So yeah, I think that was big for us today. All right, thank you.
There we go. All right, there we were. Lions press conference. We'll go ahead and kick this off right now. Hey, howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast. This is episode 420. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast Reddit. This is our first post-game show of the 2022 season. I'm here live, your glorious, dashing host, Chris. With me is my also glorious and also dashing co-host, Jeff, the Risden brother. Just make sure you're unmuted before you start talking, because I think you had a little mutation going on there before we
I should be good now. I think I hit the right button there.
Got it, brother.
I'm wrapping something up that I'm about to hit publish on, so I will be distracted for a little bit. But I'm happy that we got a win. Happy that pass fell incomplete, and pretty happy with what I saw today.
Yeah, very nice. All right, really quick, talk about the game today. We'll do a little roundtable discussion. We will take your calls, because what are we doing these post-game shows? We talk to you guys. So we'll get that going on and a whole lot more. We got a great show lined up. You ready to go to Riz?
Let's do it.
Riz ready.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right. Lions Colts game review. What a deal. Riz is going to work a little bit in the background. He's got a couple of jobs. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, people like what I write. Although I'm actually editing something that. Yeah. Okay. We're good. Yep. Go on. Keep going.
Good to go.
We're
okay.
good.
Excellent. All right, there we go. Let's get into it. First off, I want to talk about fantasy football. We've got fantasy football going on, 2 leagues, an intermediate and a Champions League. Make sure you get involved. That's a good time. Let's see. We've got that. Go to fantasy.detroitlionspodcast.com, get signed up. You get cash winnings. 4 out of all 12 players in a league will get a prize, so it's really cool stuff. I mean, if you think about what the price of the shirts are, for example, that you could win, you basically break free. So you're in good shape. Top 4 people get winners. The big winners, of course, get some cash on the whole thing. So fantasy.detroitlionspodcast.com. Come in, play against the best, play against some folks that play for fun, whether you want to do the intermediate or the Champions League. It is a whole ton of fun. All right, we're going to kick this off. First off, second game of the preseason. Holy cow. The ones didn't make a single mistake out there. I was really, really happy with what I saw from the first team. Riz, I'm gonna just kind of talk it through. You just kind of pop up when you're ready. When you're ready to jump in, okay, brother?
Yep.
So I thought the ones looked really good. We were happy with that. Of course, the ones didn't play, so it was one of those Chris jokes. Sorry about that. What else do we have going on? We have Blau took the second team reps and Boyle took the third team reps. Blau stepping ahead of Boyle like that was very, very interesting to me.
And that's a product of what happened at the joint practices throughout the week. Blau earned the quote unquote start for this game. And I'm gonna say it was an even push between the two on the day, because I think Boyle's late drive was very impressive. He missed a couple throws on it, but he also made decisions that he hasn't been making. But yeah, it's definitely looking like Blau has eased ahead. And while I would say that Boyle might have made a little bit more today, I think Blau probably did more to solidify himself as the number 2 than anything else.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, Blau, he earned it, like you said, this week. I saw it in the chat earlier. Seemed afraid to throw deep or to the outside. That's kind of Blau's arm. Blau's arm strength is the weakest amongst the 3.
Definitely. Yeah.
And it's very much like, oh God, why do I keep forgetting his name? His fan base is your best friends.
Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore.
He's got more chutzpah than that. But I'm just looking at the stats right here. I'll just read them off without context. Blau 16 of 22 for 76 yards. Boyle 12 of 15 for 99. They each threw a touchdown. Blau threw an interception. And it was his fault too. That's a throw. And I thought Devin Gardner did a really good job on the color commentary of the Lions broadcast and saying that's a throw. Like, if you're going to make that, you've got to put it low where it's either going to be a catch or an incompletion. And he put it up too high and it got batted up in the air on a tip drill INT. And that was bad on Blau. And that's the kind of mistake that, like, if he didn't make that mistake, I'd have no problem in saying that he had clearly outplayed Boyle in this one. But Boyle, I'll give Tim some credit, man. He avoided the mistakes today, and that's important for him.
It's important for the team, because if he's going to see the field in the regular season, that's what they need for him to do, is avoid mistakes more than anything. So his being able to do that today was pretty important. Let me get the phones up. We'll open up the phones to callers here in just one moment. So yeah, Boyle stepping up. Blau at the end of the second half also had a throw that was an end zone throw that ended up in a field goal that was behind and low. And I forget who it was that he was throwing it to. Darn it. It wasn't Zylstra. Or was it? I don't know. It was below and low. And had he thrown it in front of the receiver, he would have scored the touchdown. Instead, we had to settle for a field goal there at the end. And that was a little bit... It was very much Blau in a nutshell right there. I was going to say in a nutsack. In a nutshell right there. That was Blau doing his thing. So that's going to be interesting. I'll also say, just as I'm kind of thinking through the things that stood out, the running game. The running game stood out as a real
run game
point.
Incredible today.
Absolutely.
175 yards on 32 carries before the kneel downs. That's dominance.
Yeah.
And it was done again without the first team offensive line in there. And that spoke volumes to me. Just real quick, I'm writing my quick takeaways from it. And one of the things that I have is, this is the best game I've ever seen Logan Stenberg play. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't alone up there, but he needed a good game. He had one. And the depth on both lines, both the offensive and defensive line for Detroit, absolutely freaking destroyed what the Colts have in those positions. And that was nice to see.
Yeah, 100%. It was very good. To that end, I want to talk about a guy we haven't talked about a whole lot. Well, we do, but not as much as we used to. But Hank Fraley, the ability. So yes, we've spent capital in the Quinn era in particular on offensive linemen. Yeah, I get that. But we're watching the number 2s. We're watching Logan Stenberg, who was a write-off for a lot of people before this game even started, come out and play as well as he did. We're watching the 2s play. Dan Skipper out there.
Dan Skipper was great today.
Second tallest man in the NFL, playing left tackle and doing playing great out there.
Right. Now the context is, it's the Colts backups too. Sure. And I will say the Colts, they feel pretty good about their defensive ends. They have 2 Nigerian defensive ends, at Ode Yingbo and Ode Nigbo. And they're both like they're both quality players, and I thought Skipper held his own very well against those guys. Like if the Colts have a strength to their second team defense, it is their defensive ends and their pass rush.
Yep.
And you did not see that manifest itself today against Detroit, and that's a credit to Dan Skipper. A lot of it, anyways.
Yeah. Across Matt Nelson, they're out there. They were playing
Yep.
well. A testament to the quality of Hank Fraley as a leader and a coach on this offensive line to bring those guys up to the quality that they are. Because I remember, think back, Riz, to this time last year, and the biggest gap on this team, right, and the biggest point of fear was the offensive line, and then they kept falling all year. But next man up, and here we are with what looks to be a pretty big group of big guys who can play in big games if they need to.
It made me happy to see, and again, you look at the other side of the ball too. We worry some about the defensive line depth. I thought John Kaminsky had a great game today. His is going to be one of those where we're going to have to review it on the film, and I will go through. I'll probably rewatch the game tomorrow. Hopefully they have the coaches tape up. Please, NFL Plus, work tomorrow. Please, I really need it. I beg you, beseech you. But I like what I saw from him. I thought Bruce Hector had some reps. Demetrius Taylor showed out. And now the Colts, they are legitimately worried about their offensive line depth, and they probably should be after watching what the Lions did to them. Austin Bryant. Anybody argue with him for player of the game? Like, certainly on the defensive side of the ball. He fantastic.
Yeah, and he was hungry when he had to get off the field after they blew the whistle with the purported injury. He came back. He got a sack. Right. It's like, okay, that's my guy. I was impressed. I was very, very impressed. Love the team. We got a chat, a lot of talk about Kirby Joseph.
Not a good day for Kirby.
I want to say something else about him because there's a couple times when he looked bad, but it was because Will Harris was the guy who was on coverage and just blew it. I watched 2 plays consecutively where Harris just sucked.
That's early in the game, right?
Yeah.
Like the second Colts'
period.
first drive. I know one of them you're talking about.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, well, because I'm watching Okuda. And then it goes to the other side, and I see, and I'm like, oh no, is that it is Will Harris? Oh no.
Yeah. So one of the things that I took away from it, I talked with our good friend Mathis during the game. He asked if anybody saw what Okuda did, and I said I only counted him in for 3 snaps. Well, he definitely played more than that. That's an error. My bad, Mathis. And a couple of people on Twitter quickly corrected me on it. But it shows you the Colts mentality that they're afraid to throw at Okuda when Will Harris is on the other side, and that was the case on especially the first drive. I think that tells you the kind of respect, relatively speaking, that Okuda gets that Will Harris doesn't get. Now, again, secondary play specifically is something that I really have to rewatch before I speak in any sort of certainty on it. But there was a lot of trouble with the Colts running across the field at different layers and communication gaps. And this is where Kirby Joseph got hung up. There was another one, the late touchdown, where he is running with the receiver, and I can't think of his name, and Mark Gilbert is carrying the receiver going the other way. And you could see them, they almost ran into each other, and they basically both just stopped. And that's the type of thing that Aubrey Pleasant is going to have it's not going to be a pleasant film session for either of those guys. Let's put it that way.
And I don't know if it's that the Colts are afraid to throw to Okuda when Harris is on the field, or they want to throw at Harris when Harris is on the field.
Right. And exactly. And it's 6-1, half dozen the other. But your point's well taken there.
So we'll see. And I wanted to see a test on Okuda, especially they were supposedly testing him all week. Defense didn't perform so well on Wednesday. On Thursday, the Lions defense came back and played significantly better, turned things around. There was a little bit of shite talking between Jamal Williams and a little bit
by Zaire Franklin.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was a fun Twitter beef, by the way. I don't usually get into those. I enjoyed that. I even wrote about that one for Lions Fire. I don't usually do that. I liked that one.
A linebacker that might not make the team, right? is talking smack about to Jamal Williams. It's like, okay, buddy, you do you if that's what works for you.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, so we're looking good. Feels good. Let's get the phone number out there. Give us a call. We'll take your calls. 248-782-8384. 248-782-8384. We'll get you on the show. Hey, this is all working out. We're working out our kinks just like the Lions and the Colts did today on our preseason stuff because we want our post-game shows to be sexy and perfect. So give a call. We'll get you on live, and we'll talk to you and get your take on what's going on with the Lions and everything else all right out there today. Brock Wright. You know something? I didn't see Brock Wright out there. Big Wes is asking.
He had a very nice blocking day early on. After that, I didn't notice him. Let me look up. I have the stats right in front of me. I don't think he even got a passing target, and he did not. He didn't have a target all game, so I didn't throw to him. Yeah. It was a Shane Zylstra game for receptions. I'll do this very quickly so it'll probably preempt some things.
For sure.
The leading receiver was Trinity Benson, 4 catches on 5 targets for 44 yards. Shane Zylstra, 5 receptions on 6 targets. He had 34 yards. And again, this is dinking and dunking down the field a lot. Tom Kennedy, 5 catches, 24 yards, 2 touchdowns, though. Yeah. TK doing it again. Probably going to be the offensive player for the game.
Mr. August.
That's sort of the way that this offense worked, though. And it worked against the Colts, who are very soft in the underbelly. Like, they love to give up the middle of the field. And Blau and Boyle both took advantage of that today, I thought, very nicely. They don't get out well on tight ends and backs out of the backfield. And I thought Ben Johnson and the Lions offense attacked it very shrewdly. I think they saw that in practices this week and exploited it nicely, just as the Colts exploited the fact that the Lions defensive backs don't run across the field very well. Yeah. It was a nice little coaching chess match there.
This is interesting, and Big West makes the point for me that I was going to make, and here are my notes. I didn't get to it as we were talking about Kirby. He was late to the party on some pass plays, but he tackled extremely well. And that's one of the things, not just Kirby, but across the board again here in Game 2. Even if guys were late, even if they didn't make it, they did something that the Lions teams the last couple years didn't do. They made the tackle. Right? So many guys falling through the arms of so many. Fine, they got the first down, but they got the first down in 2 yards, and that's it. They didn't get 25. They didn't get 30. They didn't go all the way because it threw a bunch of missed tackles. Just have to say that, to Kirby Joseph's credit, his tackling was on point, as was the rest of the secondary. Look, you're going to get hit sometimes. You're going to get hurt in coverage, but if you can tackle first, then you still have a chance. If you miss your tackles like this team used to do, like it was a pandemic of missed tackles on this team for years, that killed us. It killed us. So the fundamentals of tackling, I'm glad we got that. And if we can do that, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, I felt good about Derek Barnes and his tackling today. Something that he didn't do great in Atlanta. I thought he had a good game. Again, it's something where I want to rewatch it, but my first impression, my initial notes of it were Derek Barnes was aware today. I wrote that down.
Yeah,
and I like making that note, and I hope to extrapolate upon that. I thought he needed a good game. Look, Rodrigo has passed him on the depth chart, and that's more about Rodrigo than it is Derek Barnes, but it is something about Derek too. But I think he acquitted himself pretty nicely today, playing not far from where he played at Purdue. And I thought he looked good. Rodriguez, I thought, also looked decent. He was late on one coverage assignment, though. I'm going to say that I'm going to hold judgment on all of the coverage assignment things until I see like what they're doing pre-snap, and you don't really see that from the broadcast view. But just in general, I thought that the communication on the back end was poor. But Chris, you're right. I thought the tackling was fine. Like I don't really recall like any like bad misses. Like there was a couple of them where like the initial tackler might have like bounced a little bit, but then he followed it up. It wasn't like he got pancaked to the ground or anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's those are fundamentals that weren't there for a long time. For most, I mean, you talked about pad level all the time with Patricia. Pad level was never there, right? And we're getting there. This is good stuff. This is good to see these guys coming out. It gives you a sense, hey, our depth is pretty good shape. I like what we have coming up.
It's so much better than it has been.
Oh my God, yeah,
not even close.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. And so I feel really good. Someone earlier in the chat said they didn't expect us to come out of there with a W. They thought the Colts would wipe the floor with us. That was what the sense I was getting this week. So it is very good to come out. I thought they were going down when they gave up that last touchdown. That really bummed me out because it was very reminiscent of the week before. The coverage on that 2-point play was enough that they threw it incomplete. They were able to walk away with the win. first win in 5 preseason years. So hey, that's
I think
something.
it was 8 preseason games that they lost in a row, 8 or 9. I know our good friend Brandon Kerr chimed in. I don't remember the exact number, but it's been a while since we've won one. It's nice to win one. I will say this about the perception of the Colts. I talked to a lot of Colts guys this week, including I interviewed Jake Arthur, the host of Locked On Colts yesterday on the radio. And one of the things that they said is they really, really like their starters there, but they're mortified of their depth. And I think we saw some of that. I think the Lions pretty much across the board have better depth, like at just about every spot than what the Colts do. Now, they don't have the high-end starters at a lot of places that the Colts do, but you got to feel better about from 24 to 53 on the roster. The Lions are they're not at the bottom of the league anymore. They've definitely moved up, and that's Brad Holmes, and that also is the coaching staff and the dedication to player development and teaching that they have so heavily stressed. We're seeing that now, and again, it might not help you win when your starters just don't have it, but if your starters get hurt, I feel a lot better about this team now than I did a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 5 years ago.
Absolutely. I'm very, very, very happy with the depth this team has put in place, and you're absolutely right. The player development that we're seeing, and we saw it last year out of necessity. A lot of rookies played because of injury, and this team was able to hold it together with a patchwork of undrafted free agents and rookie drafted players, and at the end of the year put together a real solid end to the year. These guys got a lot of live fire work, a lot of exercise, and all of a sudden now we're a team where, and this is something we talked about with Quinn, and it was the idea is right. His execution was horrible. His execution was to fill every slot with good, solid depth and absolutely no stars anywhere, and then put a scheme that ensures you don't have any stars. The idea is, and this is what we had, in our 2014 and 2011 runs where the team had a chance really to do something. We had great stars. We had a lot of dudes in place, but there was no depth behind it. And then the inevitable injuries come and the team just can't get over the hump. This is a situation where we're starting to see some really, really good depth pieces get put in place on this team. And that looks like it's going to result in an opportunity here as our cap gets together. We've got 2 first-round picks again next year. Matthew Stafford's arm's hurting. Who knows how good that other first-round pick's going to be. But we can put some things together, start putting some star players together. Our cap's going to be in a position where we can pick up some big players. And all of a sudden, you have a team that's really, really on the cusp. This year, I'm in this Kool-Aid mode where there's a chance they could make it to the playoffs, right? And once you're in, then anything can happen. The Giants proved that for us. But I know this isn't the year, Riz. I know next year is the year where they make a serious run. It's hard to hold on to those horses, bro.
Keep
really
remembering
is.
it, but yeah, you do need to hold your horses there. I know it's tough. I know we've expectations are high. We're feeling good. We're a lot of people are drinking the Kool-Aid. And I'm telling, I said it yesterday. I've said it on this show many times. I'm feeling real good about the direction of the team, but they just don't have the top end talent at enough positions to truly take that next step. But with the 2 draft picks that they've got, with cap room coming up, with a couple of necessary changes, a little bit more continuity in player development, 2023. Hell, I'm feeling great about it. And I know, wait till next year. Look, I'm from Cleveland. I understand wait till next year. That's my home city's mantra. But I'm telling you, man, this rebuild is going better than I hoped it would at this point already.
Yeah.
Might not mean that they're getting 10 wins this year, but I'm feeling very strongly about the proper direction of the football team and the coaching staff and the player development. And that's what you need to get out of the cycle of losing and suck that they've been in for way too long.
All right. So we've got a lot coming on. This is our post-game show. As you know, this is just to kind of get it back in gear and get the feel for it for the new year. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but I will say there is construction going on right now. And I think like literal. I think you guys are going to be really excited about what we do with the post game show this year. It's going to be something new, something different.
Oh, you're not talking about the construction on 104th Avenue in Holland over there that means that I
no.
can't get out of my house right now.
Yeah, I may or may not be able to confirm that it is in Michigan. I'll leave it there. DOP Studios coming to you. All right, let's talk about Justin Jackson out there. Impressive. I thought he would be coming in, and now I got to stop. Justin Jefferson, he is friends of a friend of ours.
Yes, he is.
Brian Burkheiser,
Yes,
clean
he is.
vocals for I Prevail, who just released an album. I have to. I gave it a listen yesterday. Took my son to school. We were out for 2 days. I just did the math. I'm leaving again tomorrow for work. In a month, a 30 days period, I'm going to spend 10 nights in my own bed out of 30. It's freaking nuts. But anyway, I got a chance to listen to the new album yesterday, and it's loaded with bangers.
It's very good. It's diverse too.
Yep.
They get into more of their hip hop roots side, and they pull it off pretty well. Like you know me, Chris. I'm metal, man.
Yep.
Like that's what I'm all into. But I have enjoyed. I've listened to it twice now. I listened to it on the way home from the radio studio last night. Listened to it again. I took a walk before the game today, and I'm feeling it. It's good. Brian, you did really good on this, guys. Really good.
So I'm just gonna in my first listen, I got 3 favorite. And I'm telling you, it's full of bangers. We got 3 favorite songs that just hit me, and I was like, I got to write them down. So I got Self Destruction. Absolutely love that. That's a ripper. FWYTYK. Freaking love that. And Long Live the King. Those 3. If you
Long Live the King was my first listen favorite song off of it.
Yep. Awesome stuff. And I know Riz and I are going to have a little bit different likes, but we're going to like a lot of the same stuff. Great. Congratulations, Brian. Congratulations to the guys in I Prevail.
Yeah.
What an album.
Yeah.
This is
And
such a
so
step
we
forward.
bring I Prevail up because Justin Jackson has an I Prevail tattoo.
Yes.
And he put some ink and tattooed the Colts today. So this is interesting. I want to bring this up because this is one of the things that I was writing about just before we went on the air. 4 different Lions running backs today had 7 carries. Justin Jackson, 54 yards. Craig Reynolds, 37. Godwin Igwebuike, 32, and the touchdown, which, by the way, was just a 2-yard touchdown. He could have gone further on it. And Jermar Jefferson had 25. That's like again, Jackson and Reynolds stood out for the fact that they get the ball and they freaking go, no hesitation. And you saw today behind this line and the running scheme that they have, you cannot wait for that hole. You have to go where you think it's going to be because you got to trust that your line's going to make it there. And by and large, the line does a pretty good job of that.
Which goes
that's what Justin Jackson does. That's what Craig Reynolds does.
And
that's not necessarily what Godwin does, and it's absolutely not what Jermar does.
No,
and you saw that today.
And this goes back. A lot of people were talking about Deuce and coaching Swift, and at Hard Knocks, and reading Swift's face when Deuce was up on him, right? And a lot of people said, "Oh man, maybe that's not the right style for him." I'm not sure that that's right, but I did get like just on his face alone, I was like, "Ooh, this hurts him, right? This is hurting him." What he does with that hurt, I don't know, but it's like, wow, okay, but that's exactly what Deuce was talking about with Swift is what Reynolds was doing today. Igwebuike. I'm not. This is going to get me.
You're close.
I've said it a million times, and now it's in my head. But that's what we saw with these guys. And you're right. Jamar Jefferson just wasn't that today. Godwin just wasn't that.
And that's a coaching point from Deuce Staley. Like you saw it on Hard Knocks, but we see that every day in camp. He's like, you can hear him yell it. Trust your line. Trust your line. And when they did today, they had really nice results. When they didn't, it didn't go well.
Yep. That's pretty. It's. I love it how you can tie these things together, and it's one of those things. I mean, I'm selfish now. I just want Hard Knocks every year in Detroit because to be able to see camp and then see the coaching directly like that, and then see how that evolves into the play on the field. You could see exactly. Jamar Jefferson was not cutting up the middle and trusting the team. He was not doing that. And you saw this, I hope, is a great visual for Swift to see now. Look, this is what I was talking about. Now you can see, and maybe it's one-on-one because you don't want to you make the other guys feel bad, or maybe you do it with them in the room hoping they'll learn, right? I mean, that's up to a coach and his style and how he does it. But this is an opportunity for Swift to see this is why it works. Trust your line. Cut that inside and go, and you will go for miles. And I think this is like I'm really excited to see how this lines up.
I hope he watched Craig run over the safety too, because look, we know DeAndre Swift is rocked up, man. He is built. He has the capability to run through people. He chooses not to. Craig Reynolds, who might be the thickest running back in the league right now, outside of Derrick Henry, maybe, in terms of upper body girth, dude is loaded up top. I've seen him without his shirt on. It's wow. He looks like a professional bodybuilder, but he isn't afraid to use that to drop the shoulder and run through somebody. And that's something I know. I can't say how I know, but I know that they have told Swift to do more of that. And this is another, it's on tape now that it can work for Craig. It can work for you too, DeAndre. I hope watch this tape with your coach, please, because it's reinforcing exactly what he's telling you. And you have the capability to do it. That's my end of my open letter to DeAndre Swift.
I would put a PS on it. And if you don't, these guys are, and they can take your spot. And that's one of the things. We'll get to Tom Kennedy next because I want to talk about him and the hard work that he puts in. But that's one of the things that these coaches are looking for. Are you doing what you're coached to do? Are you executing like you're supposed to? If you can't, I don't care where you were drafted. If we have somebody that can do it and is doing it, they'll take your spot. End of story. Doesn't matter your name, position, and everything, unless you're the quarterback.
Chris, that's such a great segue into Tom Kennedy too, because he just took the spot of somebody who got drafted.
So let me ask you. You've got kind of Pimpleton bouncing around. You got Cephas bouncing around now, hurt. I think you could probably stash him, Cephas, on practice squad or pup, right? Something you could stash him somewhere.
Well, so he can't go on the PUP because he's played.
Yeah.
You can't go onto the PUP in the regular season if you weren't on it to begin preseason. So that's not an option. They could IR him, though I think he's healthy. He practiced this week, so he's just got to be better if he wants to make the team. He's got 1 week left to prove that he's better than Tom Kennedy, better than Trinity Benson, better than Maurice Alexander, who, by the way, is locked up the return job today, in my opinion. And so far, from what we've seen from Quintez Cephas, he's not markedly better enough than any of those guys to take their job.
Yeah. Alexander, I want to go back to Kennedy.
Yeah.
He had some great runs, but I didn't get a sense that he was fast. Am I looking at this wrong? He just didn't seem to have the speed. He just was great blocking.
He's more sizzle. He's a guy that's going to make you miss. He's a guy that can avoid you at high speed. The thing that he does, he is not as top end fast as some other guys, but he doesn't have to slow down to make cuts. And that's what you want from a return man. And look, he was fantastic today. My guy Max Gerber wrote about it during the game. I posted it up on Lions Wire. Please check it out. He was so exactly what Dave Phipp wants from a return man today. I can't fathom him not having that return job now.
Can we think just how much time makes a difference? We're talking about Cephas now as maybe not making the team or whatever. He was number 1 last year.
He started week 1 last year and was the leading receiver in week 1 last year. Based on merit this summer, he is not one of the 6 best receivers in Lions camp. And just hasn't been.
I would say he hasn't changed, maybe a little better, but hurt, but from last year. You know what I mean? He's still the same guy. So we're talking about now the elevation of the rest of the wide receiver room. And we're talking about the guy that started and was the number 1 receiver last year on this roster as possibly not making the team. That's how significantly better that room has gotten for this team. And I mean, we saw it when Goff played. We've heard a lot about Goff's play with those receivers. This is going to be an offensive team, and this team is going to rely on the offense scoring points to win. And I think this time we're actually in a position to be able to watch them do that. But Tom Kennedy, who does he remind you of? Who's the big name he reminds you of?
I mean, we had Danny Amendola here, and that one certainly fits. I'm going to go back in time and if you recognize who this name is, God bless you. He played for the Cleveland Browns when Bill Belichick was their coach and Marty Schottenheimer. Brian Brennan was number 86 on those really good Browns teams in the late 80s and early 90s. Just the consummate, like, annoying as bleep to guard slot receiver, super tough, super sticky-handed white guy, tenacious blocker, plays bigger than his size. That guy is forever Brian Brennan to me. Like, I know that there's Lions guys that have done that. Every team has this guy in their past.
Yep.
But yeah, that's who he reminds me of. And Brian Brennan, by the way, played in the NFL for a hell of a long time.
Yeah.
And so this is Kennedy. This is his 4th year. He's never really like made it. Like, he's been practice squad and then he gets called up, and maybe somebody gets hurt and he gets promoted for a couple of weeks and then he goes back. I'm going to defer a little bit here to my old partner Eric Schlitt from Pride of Detroit, because he made a very good point on it. And that is that when you are a reserve wide receiver, you've got to be really good on special teams. And right now, Kennedy hasn't been that guy. He doesn't return. They've given him shots at returning, and Maurice Alexander, Khalil Pimpleton, and I'll even Mark Gilbert as a cornerback was better than him at returning. And they can put Amon-Ra back there as a returner. They can put Khalif. I got to say it right. It's Khalif Raymond. He's better as a return guy too. So it's iffy. Like, right now, if I were doing it, the roster projections, and I have to do one, he's number 53 for me. I've got him in as 53.
Interesting. That's the biggest gamble spot. You're allowed to have you're not allowed to take a flyer there. Okay.
So he makes 53, and then they claim a defensive tackle off of another team, and he goes away. But then he gets claimed by the Patriots or the Bears, who need wide receiving help.
Ben pulls up Jeff Chadwick.
You can imagine.
Ben pulls up Jeff Chadwick, and I gotta say, I actually have an autographed picture of Jeff Chadwick rolling around. I have to pull that.
That's
out.
a good one, man. That's a good pull. I like that.
Deep. That's deep. Good one, Ben. Okay, let's talk about what we saw. Rodrigo and Jared Davis. Jared, I saw a replay of Rodrigo just playing like big pimp style, like a multi-year starter. And Jared did his thing where he just blew past and completely misread the ball. Ball carrier ran right by him, and he locked into a block instead. And then he kept going into the backfield even after the runner was behind him by 5 yards. I was like, oh, man.
He also did on a pass rush where he got the initial advantage on the right tackle, and the right tackle just started to ride him a little bit and ran him 15 yards past the point of attack, and it led to an easy completion for the quarterback at the time. That was when Ellinger was in. He had no concept that he was allowed to use his hands to try and disengage from the block. And that, by the way, has been a massive coaching point stressed specifically to him by his position coach. I can tell you that for a fact, and he flopped miserably at it today. That does not help Jared Davis.
All right, let me refresh everyone's memory. The phones are open if you want to give us a call, 248-782-8384, 248-782-8384, or you can call us on Skype, and that is Detroit Lions Podcast. It's all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast. Give us a ring. We'll get you on there, and we'll talk Lions, get your responses, your reviews of today's game and the Lions and how they're doing. Oh, man. I tell you, it was a tough week. I didn't realize taking my boy to college was going to be as emotional a moment as it was. And rolling around the house, he's the only one, right? So rolling around and it's empty. It's like if you've ever lost a pet, and this sounds weird, and you look, all of a sudden you like see them out of the corner of your eye, and they're there. That's happened to me with him so many times.
Wow, already, yeah. And it's just been what, 3 days?
2 days in.
Man,
it's tough, man.
It's weird. This week, you've gone through this. I've had 3 college friends that had their last one go off to college this week, and they're all like, "What do I do now?"
I'm too young to be an empty nester. I'm like empty nesters have gray hair and walkers and shit. Like, what the hell do I do? I mean, my wife and I have got some stuff planned.
My friend Kristen, who did this, she's 47, and she's empty nesting. All 3 of her kids are gone. She's like, "Do I drink wine all day now?"
Oh, man. All right, let's get into it. So you guys got the phone number. Let's get a call. We got a call coming in right now.
Oh, good.
Let's see if we can. Hey, caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink today?
Well, it's your buddy from down the Ozarks. How you doing, Chris? Yeah.
Brandon?
Yes.
I just realized,
Finally.
Brandon, I saw your call coming in. Usually the way it rings, like you all can't hear it, but it rings in my headset. I had that part turned off. So if anyone else called, I apologize. I missed your call. But anyway, Brandon, so good to have you on, man. You are here and ready to go. What'd you think of today's game?
I tell you what, this this kind of win was a long time coming. It according to what I heard from someplace else, that it has been 8 games that they had straight losses. And I thought, well, it's time finally for somewhere to get started. I mean, I remember when Matt Stafford got drafted and everybody was up and down about him. They thought he was a class China doll because of his injuries. And then all of a sudden he started breaking losing streaks. First at home, then at away, then it was certain teams, and then in division, and then finally it was Green Bay, in Green Bay. So I thought, well, hopefully this is what we're starting to see. It's a little step, but it's something. I mean, especially, how many of you guys at the end of the game was thinking they're going to go for 2 and lose the game?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it was over. I was like, we squandered it just like the week before. That's where 100% where I was.
Yeah, me too. And then I saw the pass go into the ground. I said, "Oh my goodness, I don't believe it. They're going to win this silly thing."
That's so fun, and it means a lot to a young team. We can sit here and say, "Yeah, it's the 2s and 3s playing," but you have a lot of young guys out there who haven't seen that win. You know what I mean? First year guys, and the guys last year that didn't, they ended the year with a couple, but I feel like they wanted and needed to feel that sensation of winning a game now early to kind of remind themselves that we can do it. To get that, like Aaron Glenn was talking about when you went out and played with Ohio State, you didn't go out there expecting to lose. You went out there expecting to win every single time. You got to do that. You got to change your mindset. That mentality, I think this win today helps cement that in the mindset that not only is that the way you need to think, but it's achievable. They can do that, and I think this is helpful. As meaningful as a preseason win can be, I think is what the Lions got today.
Exactly. I think of this way too. The players are beginning to execute what the coaching has been slamming them about. I mean, look, you guys talked about the running backs. All of a sudden, they're all doing what we saw in Hard Knocks, what Deuce was telling Swift to do. And since he was pointing him out, the rest of them are sitting there listening to him. And they all did it. You're looking at coaching aspects of other parts of the defense. All of a sudden, did you guys know, I had to look it up, and I don't know if you saw it in chat, but I looked up the stats on the rushing game for the Colts. I mean, I had to listen to the Colts side of the broadcast. 18 attempts, 30 yards. That's not even 2 yards per.
Yep.
That is how good these guys did. And they listened to coaching. So evidently, what happened this week during the combined practices, it started showing up because remember how bad they were one day, then the next day, all of a sudden they just shut them down in the red zone. I looked at the stats again. Only the 2 touchdowns were in the red zone, but the one, of course, was a busted deep pass. But that still shows much, much more improvement with these guys. And these are the depth guys. They aren't the primary guys.
And that goes to player development.
I don't know. It was good.
That goes to player development, right, Brandon? I mean, that's what we see. Not only do we see, as a team over longer term periods of time, but you're seeing the coaching work with these guys over the course of 2 practices and then a scrimmage, basically, right? And it was Jared Goff throwing in the practices. These guys weren't getting the big reps in the practices that we saw out there today, but we saw what the coaching did, and we saw this evolution of the team to pull out a win, and that's all you want. I mean, look, last year we lost a whole bunch of games by a 69 million yard field goal with no time left in the clock, and a whole bunch of last second games. guess what? This is different. We won a last-second game, whether it's through great coverage and they threw it incomplete, whatever. Right? We won that game. Whatever, we lost those games last week. The wins come, whether they're big, small, or whatever. I mean, you don't go from being a 3-win team to suddenly dominating teams across the field week after week after week, right? It's incremental. It goes to that kind of thing that I talked about earlier where it's hard not to feel like this team could be taking that next step. I think they're taking the next step, but I just don't see them breaking down the doors in the playoffs and getting to the second round of the playoffs. I think next year is when we're going to start really seeing this team make their serious runs and see all the fruit of these kind of 2 years of labor that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and the rest of the coaching staff has put in.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and get on out of here. I know others are probably trying to call in. A couple of things I noticed. Bryant, all of a sudden, he's starting to come alive, and we've seen some real evidence of that, but it still is against seconds and thirds. I'd like to see what he does against the first stringers, but I don't think we're going to see that in preseason now because the third game will not have that. Second of all, somebody mentioned, and I had to agree with it, I don't think we saw a serious penalty against this team until way late into the third quarter.
Yep.
And I think it backed them up to where it caused a 3 and out. But the point is, there's discipline there as far as penalties.
Yes.
I mean, remember the biggest thing we hated about Schwartz's teams is they were undisciplined with their penalties. And watching some of their old games, I noticed that. I said, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Always, running into the back end and causing penalties, holding, whatever, Well, we didn't see any of that this time to speak of. So those are two things that's really good. And Jeff, I'm going to ask you, mention that we still need some impact players, probably like some stars. Where on defense do you want playmakers? I'm wondering about a linebacker and a safety, but are they on the team that can be trained to become playmakers, or do you feel that we're still looking for one maybe next year with our first-round pick? I'll get out of here, guys. This is great. Love it. Take care.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Take care, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. It's a good question. So I do think that Tracy Walker is emerging as that sort of playmaker on the back end. I would like to see. So Amadi is a playmaker. That's the kind of corner that he is. His issue is that he has to do the look, Dallas is having this conversation now about Diggs down there, and that he led the NFL in interceptions last year, but he also led the NFL in yards allowed in coverage. And like right now, Oruwariye is sort of the poor man's version of that. Like he's really good at taking the ball back, but he's also like he's not stopping the opposing receiver from getting off very well. So if he could do that, that would be great.
Yeah.
I think when we see Jerry come back, I think you're going to see some semblance of order on the depth chart restored. And like Jerry can be a playmaker. I'm not going to dog Jerry on that, but I think Jerry's best attribute, quite honestly, his two best attributes are his toughness in coverage and his tackling. And they certainly need both of those. I'm not sure that he's going to come up with more than 1 or 2 interceptions, though. He might cause a fumble, but that's just not like his mentality is to make the play, not necessarily go for the big play and perhaps give up the big play. And that's a mentality. And I kind of like that, by the way.
Yeah, no, and we have to remember, right? Let's think about his role. He was the second highest rated rookie cornerback in the league last year, which is huge because you think about the development of cornerbacks from rookie. Usually it's like a 3-year development plan from draft to actually being at their, starting to hit their peak and their capability. I feel like the injury is going to be a little bit slow, but Jerry is so focused and so in there. I see Jerry and what he's putting in. I sense he's the kind of guy that we're going to get an incremental improvement out of this year, and then next year we're going to see some significant good stuff.
I don't want to throw the bar too high for him though, because he's missed training camp and doesn't have the live reps to build upon his first season. Exactly. That's a detriment. But yeah, I think that will help. I think Aiden Hutchinson, as he continues to grow and as he continues to get more comfortable playing with Aleem McNeil, who, by the way, was really, really good this week. I got that from several Colts people. They're like, who the bleep is 54? Why do I not know who this guy is? Well, you know who he is now. And the rest of the league's going to find out too. He is one of the best young nose tackles in the league. And he's also playing some 3T and doing some damage there.
We talk about guys taking it to the next level. He was one of the guys that we talked about. And boy, he has done it. He has absolutely, so far through camp and through when he's played, he has stepped his game up to another fribbin' level. Really, really good stuff. Let's really quick, we had a call coming in right here. Caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink?
Hey, it's Grant. Just cracked the first one after the game here.
Yeah. It's a little celebratory
for
alcohol
guys.
for you.
Exactly. With how poor, I guess, our free agent, low end free agent acquisitions have been, is that a concern for Holmes? Seeing Tom Kennedy beat out like a Trinity Benson, and reading that Hughes might not make the team. Is that a reason of concern of Holmes? I know it's low end free agency, but still bringing in these guys and having UDFAs and other guys beat them out.
Sure. Let me really quick before we answer that, just hit everybody up. I want to say thanks to Vaz Vanelli. Thanks so much for the subscribe. You guys all hit the subscribe button really quick. We appreciate that. That helps us out, helps folks find out about the show. Those subscriptions are big. Also, if you like the show, if you like what we do, check it out. We got some good stuff. You can hit the notification button with that, hit the like button, all those things. It helps us out a lot and helps other people find the show. So we have said we're only going to talk about that once per show. So we're just telling you now, hit that like button, please. And also hit the subscribe button. We love you guys for doing that. That helps us out a lot. If you want to super chat along the way, that's cool. I mean, we got construction going on, so that helps us fund all that. Which is smells a little bit like 4K. All right, sorry, Grant. Riz, I'm gonna after my little aside there, I'm gonna hand it to you and let you hit it first.
Yeah. So look, wide receiver is tough. I'm gonna look to some of the other positions where he has hit. And by the way, DJ Chark didn't play today, and he right now is wide receiver 1 with a bullet on this team. He has been phenomenal this summer. In fact, I had self-promotion. I get to write the USA Today Sports Weekly that you see at like the airport or the checkout stand. I write the Lions section for that during the season. And I wrote this week the most impressive player is DJ Chark that I've seen all summer, because he has consistently cooked everybody. And actually, one of the reasons why on social media I am higher on Okudah and lower on Oruwariye than a lot of people are is because I watch DJ Chark every single day blast past Oruwariye. And Okudah can at least match his speed. Doesn't always stay covered with him, but DJ is going to be really good, folks. This is a guy.
Who do you want on Justin Jefferson?
If he gets 1,000 yards.
Who do you want on Justin Jefferson?
He's been solid. Like they're fine.
I'm asking,
people.
do you want Oruwariye or Okudah on Justin Jefferson?
I want Okudah.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, that kind of speed, you just need somebody to match it so he has a chance. If you're not there, you don't even have a chance to make the play.
Yeah. So as far as the rest of the free agency, like I'm happy with Deshaun Elliott with what I've seen from him this summer so far. I think he's going to be better at that position than Will Harris was. Now, obviously, that's a low bar. I get that, but I like what I see from him, and he is a guy. And we get to talk to Coach Brian Duker, the safeties coach, a lot. And Duker's a pretty like straight shooter, and by the way, can also bench press me if he needs to. But he's like, you're going to see how smart Deshaun is, and we've seen glimpses of it. We saw a little bit of it last week. He's going to be better than I think what we've seen so far. And as it continues to grow, the chemistry that he gets with Tracy, with the revolving door at nickel corner and nickel safety, whoever's in there. Look, could it be better? Yeah, it could. I think Charles Harris has been a great find. I think the scrap heap find there. Mike Hughes probably not working out like as well as we hope. But then you find like John Kaminsky. If John Kaminsky is your number 5 defensive end / number 5 DT, and right now I've got him making that role, like you're pretty good there.
Yeah.
Like that that guy has been better than what we've seen from Julian Okwara this summer when Julian has, in the rare occasions he's been healthy enough to play. That's a very promising thing.
I'll say on a big broader view on the kind of free agent kind of wire kind of pull from Holmes, I'm not concerned yet about what he's doing because he was handed a nightmare with the cap, and there's just so much he's had to do to try to get that into his mold. And I mean, first of all, to put players in the field last year, right? I mean, we got burned. We had to pick up some people along the way just because we needed to be able to put people on the field. That kind of hampered him, and he already was stuck with a crappy situation to start with. I see in the next year, this year into next year, I see a lot of that cap stuff getting fixed. I see with the depth we're seeing in the team right now, I see us making a lot more moves on the free agent side because you're getting those players to kind of help put you over the top. And I feel like we'll have the ability to do that at that point.
Right on. And then last question, as a proud member of Goff is the Guy on the Slack, how did he do in camp and give me the optimistic output? We're trying to gain members, and Goff is the guy here.
I wasn't in Indy this week, so I didn't see him down there. I will tell you what I got from reporters from both sides was that he was okay the first day and really good the second day. And I think that's a general consensus from both Colts and Lions people. He has looked, for my eyes, and I've said this repeatedly, he looks so much more confident in his surroundings and in the offense that is more suited to what he likes to do, that I think, look, he's miles ahead of where he was a year ago, as is the entire offense. And he's a key part of that. Is he going to be a guy that wins you games? Probably not. Like he's going to make some throws that you're going to be like, oh, Jared Goff. Okay. All right, let's go. I put him and I'll quote Ben Raven off this. Ben Raven from MLive. I had him on. I was huge yesterday, by the way, and I got to talk about that for a second. I was the huge show yesterday. I got to sit in. Bill Simonson was off on vacation. He let me host the show by myself yesterday, which was awesome. And I interviewed several people. One of them was Ben Raven, and he said that one of the things that he sees in Jared Goff is that can he be our Kirk Cousins? Yes, he can. And I believe that too. I think he can be the Lions version of Kirk Cousins. Now people are rolling their eyes, but how many wins does Kirk Cousins have? Like, is Kirk Cousins a guy that's like Vikings are pretty good passing offense, in spite or because put a slash in there of what Kirk Cousins is. Jared Goff can be that guy. I have no doubt in my mind about that. He can be Ryan Tannehill. He can be insert slightly above average quarterback here. With a good cast can lead them to good things. Matt Schaub comes to mind back in the day with Houston. Not a guy like a guy that if you don't ask him to win games, he can win games for you. If you ask him to win games, he's probably going to disappoint you. And I think that the cast that he's got now, he's probably not going to have to win too many games for you. And that makes me comfortable with where Jared Goff is right now. I hope that answers the question.
Oh yeah,
Goff is the guy.
That's all we can ask for at this point. He's on the upward trajectory. Goff is the guy, and he's going to just keep on going up, baby.
There you go.
Let's go. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, brother. We'll talk to you.
Thanks, man. Thanks,
okay,
man.
bye.
All right. Yeah, that's for those who are not in the know, the Patreon Slack chat. Join patreon.com/Detroit Lions podcast. Get in as little as $5 a month. Gets you access to the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. It is spectacular. There's a channel, Goff is the guy. There's also a channel, Goff is not the guy. Barbecue, gambling. There's all kinds of different channels.
We're allowing you to be on either side of the coin.
Yeah. That's right. And I mean, people create the channels. It's great community of people, a couple hundred people hanging out and having a good time talking Lions and other topics as well. It's a great place to go. Respectful disagreement. It's a good group of people. So head on over there. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions podcast. Little as $5 a month gets you in there. All right. I want to talk about tight ends really quick.
There's a lot of them, Chris.
Yeah. Well, let's start out. Hands up. When you think of tight ends, did you see D's?
D's nuts.
I didn't get you that time.
He played well today. Had a good game.
Yes.
Didn't play so late, but he was integral on the 18-play scoring drive. He had a good series there.
Sorry,
These nuts.
Can't get it enough. Okay, yeah, no, that was good stuff. He was
Zylstra.
I was going to say Zylstra, and I think that's a freaking car dealership. Zylstra.
Yes, it is Zylstra, by the way, from the official Lions pronunciation guide. Though I will say, when you hear him say it, so I live in Zeeland, Michigan, and it sounds like he's saying zeal real fast, like Zylstra.
Yeah.
Almost like with a Russian accent, like that's bullshit. That kind of accent.
Sorry, I'm slow. There we are.
The bullshit.
Like that.
Yeah,
Zylstra.
that kind of accent. I love that guy.
He's all right.
Call in, dude, if you're there. Call in.
Did you hear the Panthers just lost Corral?
I have not.
Liz Frank.
I'm focused on 3 other things right at the moment.
Frank, that sucks.
To give you a little glimpse behind the curtain, I have 5 things that I have to have published by about 8:00 tonight. I've done 2 of them, and somebody's writing another one. He actually just texted me that it's done, so that's good. I'm also in charge. My wife is on a flight right now to Switzerland, and she just sent me pictures of her. She's flying business class from Chicago to Zurich, and she just sent me pictures of it. And holy crap, I need to fly business class. I need to get with an employer that does that. So I'm like minding my kids. I'm trying to get them to figure out their own dinner. And I'm doing this podcast, so I got a few irons in the fire today.
The only way to do international, my friend, is up front like that. And once you do it, you won't be able to fly any other way. You'll just
she just literally said that. She's like, I am never doing econ again.
Yeah. It is. I mean, the lay flat blood. When I went to India, it was like, I mean, it was just short of getting a massage on the plane. It was fine. All right. So
I was unaware that the Panthers were even playing, to be honest with you.
There you go. All right. So let's talk a little bit. I think we got that. We got the phones.
Let's go back to the tight ends for a second.
Okay.
Zylstra had a really strong game. He's a converted wide receiver, and he plays tight end like you would expect that. But I saw from him today blocking. He blocked on the first 2 Craig Reynolds runs, and Craig had runs of 10 and 11 yards right off the bat as soon as he came in. Shane Zylstra had good blocks on both of them. He wasn't the only one. And if he can do that, like he's miles ahead of Devin Funchess then if he can do that, because Funchess, look, he had a great game last week. He hadn't done a lot in camp before that. He's not a blocker. That's just not like, he's a good blocker for a wide receiver, but isn't like a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not been good in camp at blocking, and nor has Zylstra. So seeing it today, being an asset in the run game, yeah, that helped him a lot in the quest to be TE3. Now, the other thing, though, we saw James Mitchell today. James Mitchell, the rookie draft pick, yes, that means something. Also made a couple of nice catches on that long drive late in the game. He played a little bit more than I expected to see him today. He's coming back off that ACL that he made most of the year. He still doesn't look 100%, but like you're seeing why they like him, because he is a massive target.
Yeah.
Super long arms, broad shoulders, runs decent routes, doesn't have a lot of twitch to him, but you also saw him sort of get into some run blocking today too. So that's a spot. Look, tight end is not an asset position for this team, but I will say this, they're going to cut at least one who's going to wind up on another 53, and we're going to want to like, how in the world did we come from the absence of Darren Fells to the emergence of Brock Wright this summer? And Brock Wright, didn't get targets today. He's tight end too. I don't think there's any question about that.
No.
So then you're looking at Zylstra and Funchess and Mitchell, like all competing for that last spot. Maybe Zylstra would get through to the practice squad. Funchess is not a guy who would stick around on the practice squad. He's going to look for another job somewhere else, and I don't blame him for that.
I don't think we're going to see Funchess. I don't, with the injury. I just don't think we're going to see him. I think his run here is done now.
It wouldn't shock me if he took an injury supplement, honestly.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. I hate it because he started out. He had the first day he was in camp, he was really good.
Yeah.
And then for like a week, you're like, is he here? Who's 13? Oh,
He was running something off.
And then he had a couple of good days again. And he played well last week. Played great last week.
Yep.
But you're going to need that more consistency. And I think we've seen more consistency from Shane Zylstra, and he had a game today, both in the run and the pass game, and that's very important.
Yep. The first day of camp that was open to the public, so it was the Lions loyal fans.
Yeah.
He was running something off on the sidelines all day. He had something that he tweaked and he didn't play. 2 days later, he was playing, and that was great. And he was out there. Saw him in the game. It's like, okay, we're seeing this. We're seeing something good. Bunches of oats and all that. And then that injury. I just feel like
he's been healthy for 1 week.
Yep.
Since the opening week of the 2019 season.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's
hard
to
trust that.
I don't think anyone's going to bet on him. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, now
let
me ask.
When you're hurt, when you're a hurt guy, it's really tough to shake that label.
Availability is a key ability in the NFL.
Yeah,
you know
it is.
Let's talk about the other tight ends. There's something that Holmes does well, and and as rosters get cut and get down to the final 53, and let me hit on that really quick just to kind of give people the context around when that's happening. We went from 90 to 85 on August 16th. In 3 days, on the 23rd of August, we're going to go down to 80 players. And then on August 30th, it goes, this is the hard one, 80 to 53. So that's going to be a big move there. But we think about where we're at on with these roster cuts and what's coming up. Holmes is a guy that has no problem moving guys around that are kind of at that bottom of the roster. And when those cuts are coming, people are thinking, number 53, who is that? Well, I feel fine at tight end. Maybe I can get myself, in exchange for a tight end, a cornerback or a linebacker or something that's along the lines of the same skill level that maybe could make this team because we don't have as much depth there. So I'd look for Holmes to maybe do a little bit of arbitrage in that space to try to do some trading before those final cuts to help form out that 53.
There were a couple of trades in the NFL this week too. I know the Rams made one. I think the Jets made one. You're going to see a lot of waiver claims. So one thing with the cut down this week is also where you can shift people from the active PUP and NFI list, physically unable to perform, non-football injury list. The Lions have 5 guys on those lists between the two of them. You can shift them to the reserve list on that, which means that they will no longer count against your active roster, but they will also miss the first 4 weeks of the season that way. You are going to see that done for Jamison Williams and Romeo Okwara. I guarantee it. There might be a couple other guys too. We have no idea what's going on with Paschal. We don't know. We just don't. Jason Kabinda, don't really know on that, but it sounds like he might be a candidate to also be on that. So there might not be many cuts this week. It might be a case of they're shifting Williams and Okwara to the reserve portion of that list, which means that they're out until mid-October. I think that's generally expected based on what Dan told us the last week we were in Detroit. We're not seeing Jamison Williams before their bye, period. We're just not. And based on how Romeo has looked walking and his he's still got a noticeable limp, folks. Don't expect him to play anytime soon. And I said it in the Slack. It wouldn't shock me if he doesn't play this year. If it's like, okay, I'm just going to try to get myself totally right. He's still a young enough guy, fully recovered from that Achilles injury. Achilles injuries are a lot harder on the big dudes than they are on the smaller guys.
Yeah.
Like Okuda's back out there running and looking like he's never had it. Not everybody's like that. And the more pounds you got on it, like Romeo's a good 280, 275. And his game is built on that initial burst and explosion. If it's not there, he can take that year off and get it right. And I know that's going to be disappointing for a lot of people, especially when you've got other people at that position, including his brother, who are injured a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not count on seeing Romeo Okwara before about Thanksgiving, based on what I've seen. Look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical trainer. I'm just telling you what I see. I'm not optimistic that we're going to see much of him.
No, I think that's fair. And I think that's probably a lot of why the kind of circumspect conversation whenever somebody talks about him. Way back in training camp when they were talking about Jerry and they were talking about Okudah coming back and there's no conversation about Okudah. I mean, we hit it. We were like, Okwara. Will he make it? Will he
So I will say this. I talked to someone this week, and I'll just leave it at that, who thinks that neither Okwara plays for a down for the Lions this year. And it would be someone who would have a better idea on that than me.
I don't like the sound of that. I was hoping we could see some Julian.
So this goes back, and this is a conversation that I've had with this person where I said, and I will read you the question off the text that I sent him. Let me find it here. Talk amongst yourselves. Where's he at?
Jeff, I know you.
Okay, here it is.
There you go.
I better not show that.
Are you pants free?
I said no, I'm not. I said Julian and Houston don't both make the team, right? And he responded, and this is going back to June 11th. He's like, I don't think so. We picked up the conversation again this week. He's like, read Julian Houston. Nope. And Houston didn't do much. I didn't notice him. I know he played. I didn't notice him today.
Mm-hmm.
He's healthy. Like, that matters. I'm sorry again, but we go back to the hurt dudes stay hurt. Julian's got the rep of being a hurt dude. He's been hurt 2 different times with different injuries this summer. Like, at some point, dude, you gotta prove that you can stay out of the tub to help the club.
Yeah. Ooh. Now you planned that. You've done that before. You've heard that before.
I'm a radio professional, baby.
You did one show. Out of the tub to help the club. I like that. I'm going to put that in the memory bank.
Can't help the tub in the club.
That's right.
Can't help the club in the tub. Oh, I screwed it up. Dadgummit.
That's all right. It worked. It worked. It was smooth enough. It rolled fine.
Cone of shame. Edit that part out.
No. All right. What else do we have? Really quick. Have you ever been stressed out about being stressed out, Riz?
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's like the inception of stress, right? I'm so stressed. It's giving me stress. All you got to do is go to cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com, cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com, and hook yourself up with the brain strain train. Delta 8 all over. It's good stuff. It is really, really good stuff. The Delta 9 active CBD. The gummies are where it's at. I'm just telling you, they are the super bomb stuff. Make you feel good, help you get rid of that anxiety, pain, and insomnia. If you have trouble with any of those things, the CBD is some magic elixir. It has done wonders for not just me, but a number of our listeners. We hear it all the time in the Slack and all around. Go to cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. Diamond CBD has the good stuff. Guaranteed. I buy it myself. Got my CBD cream right here that we use from Diamond CBD. Go on over, cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. Get rid of being stressed about being stressed. Get rid of pain, anxiety, and insomnia, and take care of your head. All right. Can we talk a little bit about Hard Knocks?
Yeah,
all right.
Please do.
All right. As we do, we'll keep the phone lines open as we do this, and then we'll get ready to kind of start winding it down. 248-782-8384, 248-782-8384 if you'd like to be on the show and join us. We'll have you come on. It'll be a lot of fun. All right. Hard Knocks. I want to talk about something Dan Campbell said that I thought was very, very respectful, and I think very much of the right mentality. And he used himself and his own mistakes as an example. He was talking about, this is episode 2 for those. He was talking about once you've got your reps done and you're on the sideline, don't be talking to the crowd. Don't be jacking around. Don't leave your helmet off in the locker room. Don't take your shoes off, that kind of stuff. Be ready to play. And he told the story about he was out there and it was Witten's 3rd year and it was time to, everyone all of a sudden had gotten injured and it was down to they needed somebody to go in and it wasn't going to be Witten. And he's like, oh shit, tying his shoes, getting ready real quick. And he recognized in that moment that it was disrespectful to his fellow players and the team around him. These guys are out there working their ass off to make the team. And for you to be over there, doing, jacking the locker room stuff. Nope, not the way to be. I like that. I like that because it was much different. I think Matt Patricia would have tried to say the same thing, but he would have done it in a way that was disrespectful. You know what I mean? And it would have caught the players in a negative way. the way Campbell did it, he used himself as the foil, himself as the example in that, and told the team that he'll go nuts if he sees it because he made the mistake and he wants them to learn from that mistake. Those guys are out there fighting for their very jobs. You need to respect them and should respect your teammates for doing that. I thought that was really, really good stuff from Campbell there. That was good, solid leadership.
I was impressed again with how like cohesive and the messages from the coaching staff, and how like I'm proud to call these guys our coaches, and that hasn't been the case for a while, from not just Dan and like look, Jim Caldwell was fine for me. I wish he would have been better, but I didn't hate the guy. But this staff, man, you see it all the time, and I love that Hard Knocks is illuminating it and illustrating it for everybody. Choose your word there. It's just, I'm proud that this is our coaching staff, and that was my primary takeaway from it. So I have to admit, I watched it on my phone at about 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning in a hotel room while my son was sleeping in the bed in the other bed. So I couldn't like react to it too much. I was sort of bleary eyed. So I need to watch it again. But my takeaway was that I like this coaching staff, and I feel so good that the world is getting to see that Dan Campbell is not some muscle-headed loser who's in over his head, because I think we're all learning the exact opposite of that from Hard Knocks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. That was there's a couple things happening with Hard Knocks. I think one, the team is finding a way, the Lions have been a long time kind of punching bag for fans around the league, non-Lions and in Lions fans too, right? For a long time, they just couldn't get respect, and they didn't earn it, right? Frankly, and that's the life of a Lions fan and Lions players, really. But to see Hard Knocks kind of put a flavor into it. I mean, they did the right thing with the coaching staff and the hires and the things that they're doing. I think they really put things together really well, and it's the ideal time. I would have hated Patricia on Hard Knocks. I would have absolutely despised it. But this is something where I think you're minting a lot of Lions fans, Americans in particular, but people around the world love to root for an underdog. They love an underdog. And you get to see these folks from the Lions and the coaches and the players, and you think about the history and the hard work, and you get hope from what you're seeing in this win. I mean, it adds to that kind of allure of what's going on right now with this team ahead of this season. Can't wait to see what they do with this win on Hard Knocks. But it is really something that I think that's going to help grow the Lions brand, help grow their perception around the league and amongst players or amongst fans everywhere. It's just a really, really strong kind of marketing thing that's going on for a team that's on the rise. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think this is really something good.
Oh, absolutely. It's so positive, and the response from the fans, and there was a lot of trepidation, like, oh, this is a distraction. This team doesn't need this. There's been none of that. Again, I try to tell people that because I've been through this before. Right. Like, if anything, what Hard Knocks does is that it tells you whether your team is pointed in the right direction or not. And the Hard Knocks that the Browns were on in 2018, it showed this team is not going in the direction that you want to go in, like, at all. Like, oh my God, our coaches are awful. And that was proven true. They got fired midseason. I think we're seeing validation on the coaching hire, and also just like the players. This is a very young team, but you're seeing like organic leadership coming. You're seeing Jamal Williams. You're seeing Charles Harris emerge as more of a leader. I think Hard Knocks has shown some of that. Like, there haven't been like the super like real everybody loves Rodrigo. Like, I get that.
I mean, the ladies love it. I say that. My wife is all over this, the dimple and the smile and just like, oh man, Rodrigo's the bomb, right?
Yeah. But you're not getting like the outlandishness that you've seen on some of the other episodes. And look, I don't watch every year. I didn't watch last year. I didn't care. But I do watch most years a little bit. And there's always somebody who's trying to play to be like the Hard Knocks star.
Yeah.
And like some people will accuse Jamal Williams doing that. I will tell you from watching Jamal last year that's Jamal, folks.
Yeah.
That's who he is. He's always that guy. And like you're not seeing anybody else that's like going out of their way to like make sure that they're getting camera time. That it's very organic what's happening, and I think that's something that I think, and I hope fans appreciate that too.
I want to really quick. There's been some, and Hard Knocks put it together with St. Brown's and Hutchinson's, and there's a lot of people that are trying to create something here, and I want to kind of talk about something. Just thinking about this, and they're trying to find kind of racial inequities and stuff. Inequity exists. There's no question about it exists, in the country and the world and all that. But Adrian Hutchinson was the second overall pick in the draft this year. Okay. I don't care who he is. He's getting coverage. If he's close to his family, that's big. If he doesn't have a dad, they're going to talk about him not having a dad. They're going to tell you where he came from. How much was his bonus? $21 million, $23 million, whatever the number was. And you're acting like they're not going to cover that guy when the next one that came up, Rodrigo comes in, it was $100,000, right? Of course they're going to cover the $23 million bonus man. Of course they're going to cover that. If I think back and think, oh, wow, if we'd have done Hard Knocks when Sue was there, they'd have covered him. His sister probably would have been part of it, his family. It's just the way it is. You have guys who are drafted in different positions who make a certain amount of money and who are just where they are. Hutchinson is definitely a kind of product of his environment. His dad was a Michigan guy, played for the Wolverines. He broke his dad's record. That's where he came from. That's who he is. Everybody has a story. Jerry's story. We've talked about that a number of times. It's an important, compelling story. If Jerry had been number 2 overall, Jerry's story would have been, they'd have gone deep on all that as well. It's not, God, it's not what people are trying to make it to be. I understand highlighting inequity and things like that are very, very important in society, and getting things right are very, very important. But this is just the wrong hill to die on for that. This is just an excuse to talk about something to try to fit a peg into a hole that doesn't really it's not where it's at.
So when I watched it, I didn't that didn't even register with me. And then I saw a little bit of it. I'm like, what the bleep are you people talking? Like, why are you trying to make controversy where there isn't any? Like, of course they're going to cover the number 2 pick in the draft. Like, he's the number 2 pick. Like, they're trying to sell this not just to Lions fans, but to fans around the league. Who on the Detroit Lions have fans in Seattle and Miami heard of? They've heard of Aiden Hutchinson. They haven't probably heard of a lot of the other guys on this team. That's the way it is. Yeah. Like, you got to sell this to people. You got to sell this to my old neighbor in Houston from Venezuela, who was just learning what NFL football was. That's your market. Like, Lions fans are going to watch. Of course we are. You're trying to get the non-Lions fans. Yeah. Who's your compelling stories? Aiden Hutchinson, number 2 pick in the draft, playing in his hometown. His mom is hot. His sister is ridiculously hot. She's Miss Michigan. Of course we're going to focus on that.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't we?
For sure, absolutely, and it is what it is, right? And Rodrigo is $100,000, signing bonus kind of guy. It is what it is. It's just the story this year. It's not all those things that people are making about. So
I would beseech you people who are trying to play up that angle to step back and think about why your motivation is, or what your motivation is in trying to promote that.
I'd say,
are you trying to promote division and controversy instead of interpreting it from somewhere else? Are you looking in the mirror when you're saying this, or are you casting outward?
Yeah.
That's something that I think in society in general we need to do a better job of, and this is a reflection upon
people
that.
on the right side and the wrong side of arguments make arguments for the wrong reasons. And
right.
You just be in the right spot to make the
say
right.
That again. That was good.
People on the right side and wrong side of arguments make arguments for the wrong reasons. I mean, that's it. And it's get your stuff straight and fight for the right things, because you'll convince more people rather than solidifying people in the opposing positions. Okay, there we go. Let's get football. Okay, so what else on Hard Knocks is going on? Loved Campbell not wanting people to relax. Like I said, it was awesome. I get that sense. The coaches, again, really strong. I want to ask about, here we go, we got it again, Ben Johnson. What's going on with Ben? Why are we not seeing Ben on Hard Knocks? Has he been brought up to the mothership? Where's Ben? What's going on? Why isn't Ben on, Jeff?
They film what is it? 45,000 hours that they have to whittle down to 50 minutes in a week. He's just not one of the top storylines that they think they can sell on. Now, so one of the producers of the show is walking around, and I know who the person is when they're at camp. 2 different earpieces in, 2 different people from the truck that are processed. They have a truck. It was the Lions' old COVID trailer. It's their truck, their production truck. There are between 50 and 60 television monitors of all the cameras that are going on. And there's people watching it in real time that are also listening in real time. And they are relaying anything that might be of like, oh, this is happening over here, or this is happening here, or maybe we want to look at this. And that's in that producer's ear, and that is where that person is sending their focus a little bit, so they don't have to whittle through everything, because that's a Herculean task. Ben Johnson is not the most demonstrative coach. He's not the most well-known coach on this team. Obviously, if you're going to talk about the coaches, you're going to talk about Deuce, you're going to talk about Glenn, you're going to talk about Shep, Fraley. Like, he's well down on the pecking order of notoriety. Mm-hmm. And again, remember, this is a national show. They're trying to market to the broader NFL audience and not just Detroit Lions fans. Does my dad in Cleveland care about the Lions offensive coordinator? Probably not. Does he care about Aiden Hutchinson? You bet. Does he care about Hank Fraley, who used to play for the Browns? Yeah, he does a little bit. Does he care about, that's the connection you got to make. Do LSU, does somebody's grandma in Baton Rouge care about Kelvin Shepard because he played LSU? You bet they do. Like that the marketing angle of it, I can't stress enough how important it is to take your Lions glasses off and put on your national perspective. Did you watch the Raiders when they were on? And if you did, what did you focus on? You focused on maybe players or coaches that you knew. They're talking about a 5th-round rookie linebacker. Like, I don't give a crap who this guy is. Like, fast forward. Like, they're trying to avoid that. That's the whole entire point of Hard Knocks' existence, guys.
Yep.
Take a broader view on that, please.
I'll say also, there's the right to veto content, and just by how little he's shown up. I mean, you haven't really even seen his face much in the coverage. I believe the Lions are keeping him out of the conversation and keeping that offense out of the conversation on purpose, because nobody has film on Ben Johnson's offense. Nobody has film on what they are doing. And I don't think they want anybody to hear any of the conversations about what they are doing. This is a strategic imperative for them. That's why I think Ben Johnson is not on Hard Knocks. And I'm okay with it. I love the insight. I would love to see what they have, but this is a strategic advantage that they don't want to give away.
That's perfectly plausible. I buy that. I like that explanation. Good thought.
I should be a writer. I should do this. I should do something journalistic. Anything else that jumps out of you about Hard Knocks, Riz?
I thought they kept the momentum good from the first week to the second week. Like, obviously, it's like with every album with bands. Your first album is great. You got to hit single, then you got to follow it up. And sophomore effort, like John Bon Jovi said this. He's like, you have your entire life to that point to write your first album. You got 6 months to do the second one. Yeah. Like, that's why sophomore albums generally aren't as good. And his is a good example of that. But I think that's avoiding going too far down on that is something that I thought they did a good job of. And I will say that the Browns year, there was a considerable drop off in momentum in terms of like fan enthusiasm from the first one to the second one. And I think they avoided that pretty nicely with this one.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. All right. Let's see. I think, we got that. We're good. Hard Knocks covered. I think today's game covered. I just want to touch again on what we talked about a little bit about that offensive line. A little bit of love for Dan Skipper out there, the biggest man in the land.
Played well. He really did.
Huge shout out to the work that Hank Fraley's done with those guys. Last year we saw it, and again, I'll say it as we start to open the show with it. Last year, the biggest fear Riz articulated going into the season was the depth at offensive line. We hope no one's hurt. And we went into game one with somebody hurt, week one with somebody hurt, and the top five never played a single snap together for the rest of the season. Yet, they played really well. And I attribute, look, they're great players and they play well, but I also attribute a ton of that to Hank Fraley and what he brings to his role as a coach. He's not just a guy that's out yelling their big guy things at big things. He's very smart. And shout out, by the way, to his son. Did you see him at the end of Hard Knocks? John Ragnow. Man, your smack talk isn't that good. Hell, bullshit. As he's a kid, he was killing it. I mean, he was talking to big men like that. Big hands clapping, man. That was awesome to see him out there as a kid. It was
some big dick energy right there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you straight up, Dad waking him up in the morning. I live that. I live that like every day. He's like, oh man, it's so early. But good stuff from the Fraley family. They were freaking hilarious. They were great. But he's done it. I mean, he is a coach. He is a teacher. He was what this team has become, what this I want to call it the management team, the coaches and the front office were to become when they brought in Holmes and Campbell. He is the epitome of that kind of servant.
He was such
leadership.
a natural fit. And
Yeah.
I've used this example before. I watched Evan Brown with the Browns. I know what he was with the New York Giants. He was a guy that was a practice squad guy at best. He quickly played his way down those depth charts. Now, I would argue he might be the best backup center in the NFL. And that is because of Hank Fraley.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Yep.
And I bet, I don't know Evan well. I've only ever shaken his hand and bumped fists with him. But I would bet that he would give a lot of the credit to Hank himself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree. And Hank, I'll tell you, Hank has believed in him and he loved bringing him out. The thing that kills me is when the new regime came in, we almost lost Hank. I mean, we were,
we did.
Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's not too much. Minutes away from losing Hank to the Steelers, and the Steelers were pissed. We're pissed when he signed, but I'm so glad he stayed. He's a
Bill
very
Lauer,
special
look at their
guy.
offensive line.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not good, folks.
Nope. They don't have no Fraley in their life. So,
oh, by the way, can we touch very quickly on the Mason Rudolph rumors that the jackass or pony or whatever the hell he calls himself in Pittsburgh insisted would be done by Friday?
Yeah. What day?
Where's that guy at? Huh? Hold him to that, please.
I'll tell you something about a difference too between Quinn and Campbell. This management team, you may hear some thunder booming outside. It sounds like it's a shite show. And you see this a lot in business. When you're spending someone else's money, you can make decisions, that are a lot easier than when it's your money, right? And Bob Quinn, I think, was trying to buy, I think of Trey Flowers, who's not playing anywhere right now. It's like, no matter what happens here, you've got a lot of money. You're going to make more money doing this here and then not playing than you would if you did anything else. This is your way to get taken care of. He overpaid a lot of people, and they were former Patriots people. I think he was using someone else's money to try to jumpstart what he was doing. It's easy when you do that. Now it's a little different. Sheila's part of that team, and they're working as a team. And while it's somebody else's money, that person's money is in the room, hearing the decisions and understanding the decisions and watching people make those justifications. It's not just, oh yeah, we're going to put our people in our culture and get it instilled in the locker room. We just got to pay for it. This is, here's the long-term plan. Here's the thinking behind it. And I think this is a shrewd play from Sheila's side, and another kind of just play for how this management style, leadership style is working with this team, because letting people just spend money to do dumb things or to do things is never a good idea. You have to have that diligence, and you have to have that kind of look and understand the reasoning behind it, which I think we're seeing now. Makes a heck of a lot more sense. And you're seeing it with the way the cap situation is, the players we get and how they fit, the whole thing, the scheme, all that comes together because that team is the money and the football people are together making decisions. It's not, Rod Wood going to make football decisions. No. Rod Wood's going to make money decisions, right? But he's going to make sure you're not making football decisions that are bad money decisions, and then vice versa, right? So, just a lot of really good stuff coming with this leadership team between the owners and coaches, and I'm hoping that very soon Sheila is going to be able to stomp out all the Uncle Eddies out there to say this team will never win until the Fords sell the team, right? I mean, it's just they have no recognition that there's actually different people driving the ship, like different coaches, different GMs. Like, well, they've not done it for 40 years. Well, that's right, but Brad Holmes hasn't been here for 40 years. Campbell hasn't been here for 40 years.
This week was a great example of be careful what you wish for on the sell the team front, because that was a refrain in Cleveland for some time. And if you watch the press conference that the Browns owners, plural, both Jimmy and Dee Haslam put with Deshaun Watson, if you're not embarrassed by that and aghast at their take on the whole thing, like that was rough, man. And you got Daniel Snyder being what he is. Like that. Look at the people that are buying teams now. I don't want those people. I don't want those people near some.
Nope.
Look what's going on in Houston. Look at what's going on in there's a lot of places where ownership changes have not been the panacea that I think the fans were hoping for.
Yep.
And I don't follow the Tigers at all, but everything that I hear is that, oh my God, they're the worst organization in town.
Yep.
And like, I don't know, man. I'll ride with Sheila for a while, folks. I'm good with that.
I don't know if you hear the thunder in the background. I think I got to go. I've watched the bandwidth drop twice to 0. I think we're getting on the verge of the end of time.
All right.
Do you hear that? Oh, wow,
I did.
sound.
Yeah, I felt it.
All right, let's get through that really quick. Good Joey 2 times. Right now, I should have thrown that kid in the ice tank. That's actually pretty funny.
Yes.
Would have watched an entire episode of Just Frank. He's like every Midwesterner's cousin, and I'm here for it. That's hilarious. All right. With that, I just want to tell everyone, thank you for joining us. Again, if you don't mind hitting the subscribe and the like button, we really, really appreciate it. It helps us out. We're getting to that point where we want as many people as possible to see what we're bringing to the world and our post-game content and all the other stuff. Thank you, C. Dane63. Appreciate you. You're number one in your book. You're number one in my book too, buddy. All right, remember, this show needs your involvement. Don't forget us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast, access to the Slack chat. If you donate as little as $5 a month, you'll talk to the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. And you can follow us on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast. I'll get it right this time. Also, give us a call on Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, or call us on the Lions line at 929-33-LIONS. It's 929-335-4667. And be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com, subscribe to the podcast, because Riz wants to do what?
I want to come into your ear holes automatically.
Sounds so good. All right, thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast, provided we don't blow away here. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems, because we are your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. Thank you, everybody. Riz, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.